Okay guys, now we're ready to put the floor in. Now these get cut. This is Luan plywood, 1/4 inch Luan plywood, and it has to be this type of plywood. Luan, they call it 1/4 inch. It measures about 3/16 thickness, and you need to cut this piece. You need 4 pieces, 36 1/8 of an inch long, 10 inches wide. Now, you can only bend this in one direction. As long as the grain is like that, or the grain is like that, this is easy to bend, very easy to bend. So you want to make sure you cut it on the side that you can bend. If you try to bend it the other way, with a different grain, you can't bend it. This will only bend one way. And then the whole idea now, which I'll start doing is, you take the better looking side on the outside, and then all we have to do is put this in here, and then we have to clamp it down a little bit at a time, and then screw it on this side. Well, first you got to put glue on. You do it as you go along. You put the glue on both pieces. It goes inside the groove here. Maybe this could look a little better here. It goes in the inner groove, and just slowly push the whole piece in the wheel. Push it whatever is necessary, and you can clamp it, move it around, and then you'll put a row of screws there and a row of screws here along with the glue, which will be on the inside part. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 4 pieces in, and then actually what I'll probably do is just put this one piece in, and I'll let you see it because I won't be able to use the camera while I do this, and then we'll be back. Okay guys, this is what the first piece looks like. I'll just kind of show you what it looks like inside. I use number 8 3/4 inch screws. You don't have to drill any pilot hole. Just put them down and get them flat with the surface. And once that's done, make sure you wipe off all the excess glue on both sides, because it'll be easing out all around the plywood. Be sure to put in plenty of glue, but just wipe off the excess. And then once you do this, you just continue around with the next piece, the next piece. Now on the last piece, you might be a little too long. More than likely, you gotta, if the wheel inside dimension is 46 inches, you'll probably be about a 1/4 inch too long on the last piece. So you'll have to trim and fit the last piece. Now if there's a gap in it a little bit, even a 1/4 inch, it doesn't matter, because when we put the spokes on the outside, or at least that's what I call them, there's going to be 8 of those. And those go where the 2 pieces of plywood would meet. And I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then we'll put those in after this dries. Okay, I got all the pieces on the wheel. All the floorboards are installed. They're all glued. Everything is screwed down. You need to put the screws roughly 4 inches or whatever it takes to get it up tight against the board. I have them about 4 inches, some 5. And now I've removed the outer pieces that were on the outside, the pieces that we had to hold this thing together. They're gone. I took them off. So now we got to put 8 supporting ribs around it. But the first 4 go to the seam from these 36-inch lengths of plywood. There's a seam here, and there's 4 places. There's 4 sheets of plywood in here, as I explained earlier. So what we got to do now, these first 4 have to be done first. You have to cut 1.25 inches wide, 3/4 inch thick board. And you want a nice, put 2 marks, one on the top, 1.25 inches, and down here on the bottom, so you know that you're in the center. And then all you have to do is line this up. You need to make these a little bit wider, just a little bit, just so that they're tight. And then you got to glue these onto the back, or I should say the floor, and then put screws in through the 1/4 inch plywood from the inside and pull this in tight. And you got to glue both ends and then run glue down the back and then put the screws on. That's the next step. When this is done, then you got to put 4 more pieces in between, so you have a total equally spaced set of these boards, total of 8. But the first 4 go on first to cover the holes, or where the pieces of plywood meet. And after I get done with that, then we'll be back. Okay, guys, the wheel is basically done. Now comes the part where you have to go ahead and fill any imperfections, screw holes. Some people don't want the screw, they don't care about that, but I fill everything in. I go around, I use wood putty on any joints that you see. And then once that's all dry, make sure you sand the inner rim and make everything match. I use an electric orbit sander. And then smooth this part, and again, any imperfections, you can go ahead and fix those with some wood putty, or wherever you want to do. The more you do, the better it looks. So it's really up to you. And then once that's done, what you have to do is go ahead and paint the entire wheel. Use outdoor house paint. Don't use indoor paint, because you want to be able to clean the wheel when you wash it with any kind of detergent or whatever you use that you're going to clean it with, so that you don't take off the paint. It's got to be waterproof. So once that's all done, painted at least 2 coats, just put the wheel aside, and then we'll finish the bearing part, which is pretty much the last step. Then we're going to put the floor in. The soft floor gets glued in, but that has to be cut and fitted, but I'll show you that. First, you have to finish the wheel off, smooth it up best as you can. The more time you spend on it, the better it looks. Okay, guys, now we're gonna. The wheel is all painted. Now we have to put the floor in. The first thing we have to do is we got to cut the pieces of flooring material, which I have here. What you need to do is you need to take the one with the notches, and all of these ends get cut off. Now, if you followed everything, this dimension from here to here inside is 10 inches. So you might want to double check that, because the size of these pieces have to be so they snugly fit in there. So once you cut all the ends off, you got to cut, or basically you got to cut 10-inch square pieces is what it was really designed for, the wheel. Doesn't matter which way. You cut them into 10-inch squares, and then each one of these pieces will fit perfectly in the wheel. Just like that. Okay? Now, what you got to do is these get glued in. You use this material, or this glue, to glue this in. Let me see if I can get it in the picture here. This 3M77. It works perfectly. I've used it for years, and it's been on Lulu's wheel now for over a year, and nothing has even tried to come off. And she's done a lot of running. So, on that note, you're going to need, you'll need exactly 14 pieces, 10 inches square. But if your dimension is not 10, then you have to make it whatever that dimension is that you may have made. But it should have been 10 inches. Now, each one of these, you don't put the adhesive on the wheel. Put this on cardboard. Spray the adhesive so that covers the entire area. And then immediately start to put them in. Each one all the way around. And press it in so the adhesive holds it in tight. You may have to do it for a minute. And then just continue on pushing them together. Like this all the way around. Press them together until the whole wheel is done. It's going to take 14 pieces. The last piece will probably have to be trimmed, so trim it to fit once you go all the way around. And when that's done, the wheel is basically done except for the bearing assembly in the middle, which is last. After this video, we'll put the base together, and then we'll finally put the wheel together and have a working skunk wheel. And that's it till the next video.